The movie opens with a dramatic sequence. Dan Forrester and a group of soldiers free-fall through the sky into a ruined city. They land in a swimming pool atop a building, immediately setting a tense tone. This scene is a glimpse of the future battle against alien creatures. The movie then flashes back to December 2022, when Dan is at home watching a televised soccer match with his wife Emmy and daughter Murray. During the broadcast, a wormhole opens on the field, and soldiers from the year 2051 emerge, shocking the crowd. They announce that humanity is fighting a losing war against alien invaders called White Spikes, and they need soldiers from the present to travel to the future and join the fight. Governments worldwide join forces, drafting civilians and military personnel to fight in future wars. Despite this, the survival rate of the recruits is alarmingly low, causing public panic. Dan tries to continue his normal life but grows increasingly concerned about the world's direction. Dan is a former Green Beret turned high school biology teacher. He receives a draft notice to serve in the future war. When he undergoes testing, he learns he will die within 7 years. This discovery shocks him. Dan undergoes a medical evaluation and is fitted with a jump device on his arm. The device is a critical piece of technology that allows for time travel to the future and back. The process of attaching the jump device is efficient but impersonal, emphasizing the utilitarian nature of the operation. After receiving the jump device permanently attached to his arm, Dan becomes aware of its critical function for time travel. He seeks out his father, James, who is a skilled mechanic and has the technical expertise to remove or tamper with the device potentially. Upon arriving at James's remote location, Dan expresses bitterness and resentment over their history. James had abandoned their family when Dan was young, leaving emotional scars that have never healed. James acknowledges his past mistakes and tries to explain his reasons for leaving, mentioning his struggles with paranoia and trust issues stemming from his time in the military. Dan, frustrated with his father's explanations and presence, leaves without fully resolving their issues. Maintaining his resentment, he accepts his recruitment to protect his family's future. Emmy is devastated but supports his decision. Dan's family becomes a key motivator for him. Before reporting to the recruitment center, he promises his wife, Emmy, and young daughter, Murray, that he will return home safely. The recruitment center is chaotic and heavily guarded, filled with civilians from all walks of life. The atmosphere is tense as people grapple with the reality of being sent to fight in a war they don't fully understand. Upon arrival, Dan is processed along with others. The process includes a briefing about the war, its stakes, and the role of the draftees in the fight against the alien species known as the White Spikes. Dan meets other draftees, including Charlie, a talkative and nervous civilian, and other ordinary people who have no combat experience. Their fear and uncertainty reflect the desperation of the situation. The recruitment process starkly contrasts with Dan's past military experience, as many recruits are unfit and unprepared for battle. The recruits are told that they have been sent to Miami, now overrun by the alien creatures known as White Spikes. Their mission is to retrieve a research team and their data from a nearby science lab. The recruits are teleported to the future using the jump link, a technology that allows them to travel 30 years forward in time. Dan and other draftees are fitted with jump bands, devices that allow them to travel through time. However, something goes wrong during the jump. Instead of landing safely on the ground as planned, the recruits are dropped mid-air over a city. Many land on rooftops, while others tragically miss their landing and fall to their deaths. Dan lands hard on a rooftop pool and quickly gets his bearings. As Dan and the others look around, they see the city in ruins. Buildings are destroyed, and the streets are eerily empty, giving a sense of the devastation caused by the White Spikes. Through their earpieces, the recruits receive a briefing from Colonel Murray Forrester. Command informs them that White Spikes are closing in on their location. They are given only a few minutes to locate the research team and extract the data before an airstrike is called to eliminate the threat. Despite the chaos, Dan's military background allows him to stay composed. He takes the lead in organizing the recruits, who are mostly untrained civilians and overwhelmed by fear. The group makes their way into the lab, where they discover the gruesome aftermath of a White Spike attack. The research team is dead, their bodies torn apart by the creatures. They find the data they were sent to retrieve and secure it, but their success is short-lived as the white spikes begin to close in on their location. As the team prepares to leave, they hear unsettling noises that indicate the white spikes are nearby. The creatures burst into the lab, revealing their terrifying forms. For the first time, they are fast, agile, and incredibly dangerous, with long, whip-like tails and sharp claws. Chaos ensues as the recruits attempt to fight off the white spikes. Most of the recruits are civilians with no combat experience, making them easy targets for the creatures. Dan takes charge, using his military training to coordinate a retreat. He works with Charlie and others to slow down the creatures while trying to evacuate the survivors. Command informs the recruits that an airstrike is imminent to neutralize the area and contain the white spikes. The team has only minutes to escape the blast radius. As Dan and the remaining recruits exit the lab, they are immediately confronted by white spikes. The white spikes, which are incredibly fast and deadly, start attacking the group, forcing them into a fight-or-flight situation. They realize just how formidable these creatures are, and the team quickly understands that the odds are stacked against them. The group begins to panic as the white spikes overwhelm them with their sheer speed and aggression. The team suffers heavy casualties. Several recruits are killed by the white spikes, and some are torn apart or dragged away by the creatures. The recruits only have a few minutes to reach the extraction point, and the threat of the white spikes looms larger with each passing moment. The airstrike obliterates the white spikes in the immediate area, allowing Dan and the others to survive the attack. Dan is taken to a military base where he meets Colonel Murray Forrester, the commanding officer of the Resistance. To Dan's shock, he learns that the leader of the Resistance is none other than Murray Forrester, his daughter, but in the future. She is now an adult and a strong, capable leader in the war against the white spikes. She explains that the white spikes began appearing in 2048 and nearly wiped out humanity. Murray, driven by her strained relationship with Dan in the past, maintains a professional demeanor but reveals that she needs his help to save humanity. Murray takes Dan on a mission to capture a white spike queen for research. The team manages to tranquilize and capture the queen, but the hive retaliates with an overwhelming attack. The queen is much larger and more powerful than the regular white spikes, making her even more dangerous. They are ambushed by a large group of regular white spikes, leading to a deadly confrontation. The team is forced to fight off the white spikes as the situation spirals out of control. The soldiers struggle to maintain control, and several of them are killed in the chaos. Dan and Murray narrowly escape with the queen, but many soldiers are killed in the process. During their time together, Murray explains how Dan became distant from his family after failing to cope with his frustrations and ultimately died in a car crash before the war began. Dan is heartbroken by this revelation and promises to be a better father. After capturing the queen, the team carefully transports her to a secure facility where she can be studied. The queen is placed in a high-security containment unit. This facility is a part of the Human Resistance's base, located in a heavily fortified area in the future, where scientists and experts can examine the queen's biology and behavior. Back at the base, Murray reveals her plan to create a toxin that can kill the white spikes. She works tirelessly in the lab, using the queen's biology to develop a formula. The queen's capture represents a turning point in the war, offering hope that the white spikes can be defeated and that the future of humanity can be rewritten. Despite the heavy security, the queen proves to be far more dangerous than they anticipated. She manages to wake in her containment, triggering another chaotic and deadly event. The white spikes launch a coordinated assault on the research facility, aiming to retrieve their queen. This marks a major escalation in the battle between humans and the alien invaders. The attack is brutal and relentless. The white spikes use their advanced hunting instincts and powerful strength to overwhelm the human defenses, breaking through barriers and defenses with ease. The soldiers stationed at the facility are caught off guard by the speed and ferocity of the attack, and the situation quickly spirals out of control. Amid the chaos, the white spikes successfully reach the queen's containment area. They break through the facility's defenses and free the queen, whose rage and strength make it difficult for the humans to stop her. The queen, once freed, joins the White Spikes in their assault on the facility, further amplifying the danger. She immediately begins wreaking havoc, attacking anyone in her path. Murray and Dan, along with the remaining survivors from the mission, attempt to escape through a time machine, but Murray gets injured. She realizes that for the mission to succeed and for the White Spikes to be defeated in the past, she must stay behind to ensure the success of the operation, even though it means sacrificing herself. In her final moments, Murray pushes Dan back through the wormhole with the toxin to save humanity, sacrificing herself as the base is destroyed. Dan returns to the present with the toxin, but the jump link is destroyed, meaning no more trips to the future are possible. Humanity must find a way to prevent the war before it begins. Dan realizes that the White Spikes didn't arrive in 2048 but were already on Earth, frozen beneath the ice, and likely awakened by climate change. Dan, Charlie, and a small team, including Dorian, a veteran of the future war, analyze volcanic ash found on the White Spikes and trace it back to Russia. They conclude that the White Spikes arrived thousands of years ago and have been dormant until recently. Dan leads a team, including his estranged father James Forrester, to Russia to locate the White Spike spaceship. They find it buried beneath the ice, confirming their theory. Inside the ship, they discover the frozen White Spikes and inject the toxin into several of them, successfully killing them. However, one of the creatures awakens and alerts the rest. A battle ensues as the team fights to prevent the White Spikes from escaping. Dan and James work together to kill the remaining creatures, including a ferocious White Spike Queen. The team destroys the ship, ensuring the White Spikes will never become a threat. But she tries to escape, and Dan and James finally confront the White Spike Queen. The Queen is massive, powerful, and more intelligent than the regular White Spikes, making her a terrifying opponent. The final confrontation takes place in an intense and action-packed scene. Dan and his father face off against the Queen, knowing that their lives are at risk but understanding that killing the Queen is humanity's last chance at survival. Dan and James successfully manage to corner the Queen after a dramatic chase. The Queen is vicious and aggressive, attacking the humans with everything she has. In a final, desperate move, James sacrifices himself to help Dan deliver the killing blow. In an act of bravery, he distracts the Queen, allowing Dan the opportunity to fatally wound her. Dan uses the toxin to kill the Queen, delivering a crucial strike that ultimately takes her down. Her death disrupts the White Spikes' reproduction system, severely weakening their ability to continue the invasion. With the White Spikes eliminated, Dan returns home to his family. He embraces Murray and promises to be a better father, having learned the importance of family and sacrifice. The world is safe, and the future war has been averted.